Hello there everyone, I just wanted to open this video by showing my appreciation and gratitude towards the reaction that the No Time to Die review got. That's my most viewed video by far, so thanks to all the people that have stuck with me over the last year and believed in me. I'm not trying to be cheesy. Yeah, you've been pretty sick. Lots of great feedback you've given me on both on YouTube and on Instagram DMs. So yeah, I hope I can keep it up. I hope the fame doesn't go to my head. I hope I can keep the integrity of the channel going. Anyway, enough about me. It's time to talk about Sex Education. Sex Education is a coming-of-age Netflix series that follows the lives of multiple pupils at a British high school. The show has just released its third series, which I binned over the course of a few days. I'd watched the first two seasons last year when I reviewed it for my Surfing Netflix series. Just gonna have to blur all this. No point commentating.
Oh, you did kind of deserve that, man.
You get what you fucking deserve!
Can't come.
This is a show I could condone people watching. I've not really seen anything insulting about this. People are already watching it anyway. You know, yeah, watch it, whatever. Recommended, yay, whatever. But there were a lot of societal issues that it kind of shit the bed in addressing.
Please, this is a costume and I'm not
It's one of those shows that's tailor-made for the specific target audience, like a lot of Netflix shows. It's for the normie adolescent demographic, easy to emotionally manipulate teenage girls, and excitable and raunchy young lads. So hang on there a second, why am I, an elite film reviewer, reviewing such a broad, simplistic show? I could be reviewing Ingmar Bergman's Cries and Whispers right now, for God's sake. Well, Sonny Jim, there are multiple answers to that question. One key reason is the heavy-handed political commentary of the show that I just couldn't resist critiquing. Some of this shit honestly borders on propaganda at times. The more I watched of this season, the more compelled I felt to go to town on this bitch. Regardless of what your political beliefs are, art should never be used in service of promoting a specific political ideology. Netflix is a very left-leaning company, and unfortunately that agenda of theirs does bleed directly into the media they produce, and that is when all this political bullshit enters my jurisdiction. Because now you're fucking with film. Get the fuck out of here. Sex Education is one of the more popular and well-known Netflix shows. This is a solid overall representation of the company's cinematic voice. It encompasses all of the trademark characteristics of every Netflix piece of media. Every Netflix original piece of media. Honestly, just look at all the promotional material for Sex Education and tell me it's not the most Netflixy show on Netflix.
I've got dreams that
Whoa.
So through critiquing this, perhaps I can critique the entirety of Netflix's production model as a whole. I also have to address another important thing. There is another reason as to why I'm reviewing this. A far more personal reason, you might say, which ties into why I watched the show to begin with. The show plays on a particular part of my brain that I'm going to be breaking down throughout the course of this review. It's this juvenile side to me that wants to escape back into this carefree, blissful environment of high school life. Also, I just want to say that just because this show successfully tugs on said area of my brain, that doesn't mean it's a good show or that the storytelling's well done. It's not down to Sex Education's cinematic nuance. It just appeals to the more surface level side of my mind. I've got to admit that I have an inner normie inside of me. It's not as powerful or prominent as it once was, but it's still there. It's a mentality that we all have that you should never give any credence to when you're criticising films. A naive, teenage-like persona. So perhaps the inner normie likes Sex Education. That doesn't mean it's a good show. On the contrary, the very fact that it does like this Netflix series probably implies that it's a bad show. But I just wanted to come clean about all of that. Be honest, get all my cards out on the table. But I do think this will be a fun thing to study throughout this review. Analyse what it is about this show that appeals to that side of our brains. You might think that this is self-indulgent, but I think that the things that I reveal about my brain will be fairly relatable to a lot of people watching. This is going to be an introspective video. We're going to be plunging the depths of our adolescent minds. So last winter, when I was still fresh to YouTube, I embarked on an experimental review series called Surfing Netflix. The aim of Surfing Netflix was to skim watch through all of the many films and TV shows in Netflix's catalogue, searching for hidden gems that are actually worth watching. They cynically produce so much shite, the majority of which is instantly forgotten about and lost to obscurity. So much passable filler content, quantity over quality. It was kind of a failure of a series, but when I was skimming different shows, I came across Sex Education, which is one of the more well-known and popular shows on the site. I watched the first episode as part of the review, but I did end up finishing the whole 2 seasons of the show. I'm still not 100% sure as to why I did that.
That's not fair. I liked you. I really liked you. I fucking turned myself inside out liking you.
You did like me.
Yes. Yes.
But what I do know is that this was partly due to the fact that this show is easy viewing, entertaining, a familiar world to keep returning to, warm, not too dark, at times fun and exciting, there's parties, young love, a nostalgic return to the simplicity of high school. It's not funny though.
It was a semi.
Like, they try a lot to be funny, but they almost always shit the bed in that department.
Thanks for everything, Mum. Gene, definitely Gene.
Gave 2.5 handjobs to that guy I met in Butlins. 1.5. We got interrupted. Stupid surprise karaoke.
We're not actually going to a party on a Thursday, are we?
Thursdays are the new Fridays, and if you get the programme.
Even the side of my brain that likes this show isn't amused by that broad shit.
I've been on anti-anxiety medication since I was 11. Sometimes I get panic attacks so bad I think I might die.
But then you find yourself 1 season deep and you've actually become somewhat attached to all of these unfunny arseholes. It's just something that I enjoyed. I enjoyed my time with it. It's not great, it's not awful, it's just there.
Be proud of your penis.
Some of it's shit.
Statistically, 2/3 of girls experience unwanted sexual attention or contact in public spaces before the age of 21.
Some of it's actually fairly good.
Did someone try and hurt you? Just sick of everyone treating me like shit. It's how we all feel. But you can't go around punching people.
For the most part, I've stayed away from this kind of easy watching crap. There are shows with artistic integrity that I'd also consider comfort watches. Peep Show, Arrested Development, Always Sunny, Rick and Morty, and those are what I usually fall back on when I just want to relax.
4 none, Jeremy. 4? That's insane.
I always need to be consuming something with at least some substance, and I do think there are a few things about Sex Education that make it stand out a little bit more, which might be why I'm not so repulsed by it compared to all the other Netflix shit. It may have a kernel of its own identity, it's hard to pinpoint. The range and quality of the acting is so broad. Some performances are really one note or cringy, others are basic and bland, but then other performances are really solid and authentically convey the emotions that were intended. On a technical level, it's more than competent, particularly in the visual department. In my older review of season 1 and 2, I commented on how I really liked the intricate cinematography. Lots of energetic camera movement, of course a shit ton of continuous shots. In saying that, however, this cinematographic style has essentially become the norm for all Netflix shows. They implement these extravagant shots all the time purely for aesthetic reasons, not so much because it elevates the storytelling. It's all become very formulaic even outside of Netflix. Continuous shots have become a pretentious novelty. There is an interesting aesthetical juxtaposition with it being a British setting but having the pastiche of your typical American high school comedy movies. Another thing I really like about the show is its unapologetic depiction of sexuality in teens, which is very hard to say without seeming like a complete pervert. It's not avant-garde or particularly daring in this political climate we're in. They are definitely safe in doing this. It's not like it's the early 70s where you were actually taking a big risk by showing this kind of stuff. So sorry Kino people, if you were looking for the next Clockwork Orange, you have to look elsewhere. There's a huge audience for this. This liberal attitude towards sexuality is for the most part normalised in Western culture. But again, the over-the-top, explicit nature of the sex in this series is commendable, and also quite necessary for the subject matter that it's tackling. I'm also all for critiquing the unrefined or non-existent nature of the sex education curriculums in modern high schools. It's a valid issue to explore. I went to a Catholic high school where the sex education was completely absent. You can use art to critique institutions as long as you do so in genuine and three-dimensional fashions.
Now,
Sex. Sex, sex, sex.
The problem is, this show still has that big fat political agenda lurking at its core, and oftentimes throughout sex education, it tries its hand at tackling certain societal or political issues. Issues that it does not have the artistic storytelling capacity to tackle in any balanced, nuanced, believable or subtle ways. It's in these moments where the show turns into a public service announcement, which might actually be intentional. It is called sex education.
I always felt safe before, and now I don't.
In that old review I did talk about this particular episode of season 2 that was homaging The Breakfast Club. That was just a disgusting example.
We were going to a gig in the city. This group of guys walked past, and one of them grabbed my tit. It was like they thought my body was theirs or something.
Yeah, like we're public property.
It's not the expression of an artist, it's just the enforcement of the political beliefs broadly embodied by the company. It's fake corporate shit that just parrots the indistinct general consensus of the internet.
A few years ago, some boys were catcalling me. This woman told me it was my fault because my shorts were too revealing.
Why should you have to change your behaviour because of what they did?
Every time I sped up, he sped up. It was so scary.
I am a creepy pasta. I am a creepy pasta.
Honestly, it feels so weird doing a huge review on this stupid fucking show.
Rick, I had sex with Ruby.
What? Anyway, here we are now, and season 3 is upon us. The highly anticipated season 3, which at some point mid-binge I decided I'd make a review on. Oddly enough, I have a fair bit to say, and fuck it, it took up 8 hours of my life, I might as well turn it into something useful, make a bit of content out of it. I suppose I'll start by talking about the characters. Let's see, who do we have here? Maeve. Otis, Otis's mum, Ruby, Big Chungus, Eric, Adam, Adam's dad, Adam's mum, Adam's dad's brother Lucius Malfoy, Adam's dog, Bosk the bounty hunter, oh yeah, Jackson Marchetti, the Chad, Thor, the Bear Jew, and Stephen Hawkins. There are a bunch more. They're the kind of characters where you take one look at them and immediately recognise what particular adolescent archetype they're pandering to. The loud, raunchy best friend who's very excitable and feeds on all the gossip. What? He's also gay and black, which is the inclusivity double whammy for Netflix. The embarrassingly sexually open mother. It's perfectly okay to be having boners at your age, son. Oh my god, mum, stop! That kind of thing.
I've noticed you're pretending to masturbate, and I was wondering if you wanted to talk about it.
What the fuck are you playing at? I'm gonna fucking kill you! The punk girl who's scary and tough, but really has a heart of gold and has a troubled home life. Everyone sees her as a slut, but really she's so much more than that, baby. The rough, slightly chavvy bully who's got everything you could want at that age. Popularity, a girlfriend, a big dick, but really on the inside he's empty and has a nasty dad. The posh girl with a cartoonishly inflated sense of self-importance that young girls can make memes out of.
Please don't tell anyone I was here.
I've no idea who you are.
That's impossible. Everyone knows who I am.
You can already see all of the Just Girly Thing Facebook posts made from her quotes.
People don't call it cringe with me.
If you're British, you can picture the exact kind of person that'd like these individual characters. The lovable, clumsy but sweet girl who's got a heart of gold and comes out with all of these funny, that's not usually what a girl would say lines.
When you're stoned, do you ever get a really relaxed arsehole? Because the other day I was doing a bong with Kyle and I literally thought I was going to shit myself.
Cock! 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 Cock!
I do really like toast.
You wouldn't believe how many people I've met who'd fucking eat this character up.
I want a crumpet.
Then you got this guy who's supposed to be your ultra-strict, Victorian-era Hogwarts teacher kind of shit. Typical scary British headmaster archetype. Bit of John Hughes in there too, like from Ferris Bueller or The Breakfast Club. And how could we forget our lead character?
Be proud of your penis.
Otis Milburn. Social awkwardness for attractive people. He has that indie boy vibe where he looks perpetually like a 12-year-old, but has this coming-of-age journey where all of this adult stuff happens to him. He's the vessel for the audience. Anyone who's ever felt even slightly socially inept can easily slide into his shoes. That timid, boyish side of you can immediately relate to him. It's a very common trope within coming-of-age films to have these quiet, naive, childlike young teens as the main character, most often involving stories of aforementioned character archetypes, getting the opportunity to hang out with an intimidating, sexually active girl. A teenage girl with a rough life who's been forced to grow up much faster. She's experienced all manner of abuse and mistreatment at the hands of multiple authority figures and romantic companions from her life. She's got daddy issues, mummy issues, trust issues, all the issues. She's self-reliant, jaded, stoic, cynical. Her entire persona plays in stark contrast to our innocent, naive, well-situated young male protagonist.
You beat my mum if you think I'm weird. All she does is talk about sex. She has zero boundaries.
My mum's a drug addict.
Other characters like erotic Reddit girl.
I don't know, but I think I just had a very small orgasm.
For the more quirky, atypical girls. Sporty, popular boy, but all the sporty stuff is too much for him. He just wants to live a normal life.
It's not my success though, is it, Mum? It's yours!
Piss off, mum! And that's most of the characters for you. Amazing individuals, wouldn't you say?
Magnificent, aren't they?
You know, I just had my eyebrows done and I was looking on fleek.
So like a lot of shows, Sex Education has a blank of the week structure, a singular, consistent aspect that happens every episode that acts as a sort of hook / familiar anchor for the audience. Sex Education's recurring hook is Sex Issue of the Week.
Why won't it go in?
I don't know.
Each episode, a different character has a unique, wacky, embarrassing sex-related issue for which they need sexual consultation that our lead characters Otis and Maeve provide. Otis handles the sex therapy side of it and Maeve handles the money side. That's right, it's exactly the same as Walt and Jesse's situation in Breaking Bad, apart from Walt and Jesse have more romantic chemistry.
Yeah, no, Mr. White's gay for me.
Aside from that hook format, the rest of the show is made up of general character development, which is the better aspect of the show. Those parts are less bound to formula or routine. It's more free to develop and evolve in its own way. Don't judge yourself, it's not Kubrickian, it's just slightly better version of storytelling. I can always feel you film boys getting all excited. By the end of season 1, a good chunk of the cast had broken free of their Netflix brand personas and become more of their own characters. I remember Eric coming into his own a lot more by the end of the first season, not so much the cliche flamboyant gay best friend who gasps at every morsel of gossip that he began the show as. I'm not particularly versed in the inner workings of TV shows, but apparently as the show goes on, the actors become as much a part of the artistic progression of the series as the writers and directors. That makes sense when you think about Sex Education. Each actor was like, hands off, I'm going to develop my character with care. The best moments of the show come from moments where the story is removed from political agendas, pandering, trendy subject matter, and pseudo-profound social commentary.
Maybe it's a power thing.
Yeah. I think the man on the bus liked that I was afraid. The man on the bus
has fallen into the river in Lego City.
When the characters are just hanging out, being themselves, free from formulaic Netflix show narrative conventions, when they're just allowed to breathe, those were the moments that redeemed the show a little bit for me. That stopped the show from being just another Netflix product. It sat in a different spot in my mind. It wasn't completely surface level.
Fairy tales are all about female suppression. You know, Beauty and the Beast, basic Stockholm syndrome. Bells falls in love with a giant beast who's imprisoned her.
I'm gonna kill you.
By the end of season 2, I knew I'd watch the next season when it came out. Despite all the prominent flaws the show had, I was fairly attached to a good chunk of the characters, and like I said before, it's easy viewing, something you can put on after work to wind down, maybe eat your dinner too. The Sex Education fans, Normie Bacho included, wanted to see what would happen after Otis's I love you message to Maeve was deleted by Brandon Stark. Everyone wanted to escape back into this world where they could pretend they were still enveloped by the carefree bliss of high school. The adult world is scary and cumbersome, and to be fair, things right now are kind of fucked. So season 3 arrived and I watched it, you watched it, we all watched it, and it was fairly shit.
I think Michaela's crying, Dad.
What? Why are you crying? Stop it. Boys, don't cry. Well, I hate it. So that would be the first.
But I'll quickly start with a positive. The season opens with a sex montage that might be the most graphic and explicit sequence the show has ever done. I really appreciated the unrelenting nature of it. It reintroduced the theme of the show perfectly, reintroduced the characters perfectly. All different kinds of sex were on display, all you can think of, all you can eat. I think there was some jerking off in there as well for us single lads. Yes, the boys, yes, jerk it for the lads. Honestly, it bordered on Gaspar Noé tier explicitness. It isn't avant-garde, but I appreciate the sentiment. We aren't pandering to rigid conservative rules. This is going to be a full-on fuckfest. It reminded me of Otis's masturbation montage at the start of season 2, which I also really liked. Funny, has a point, expressive, well shot, well edited, thematically relevant. With that being said though, season 3 is the harshest example of the cynical Netflix formula dominating the artistic integrity of the show. It has its way with the fucker. Honestly, there isn't really that much redeemable aspects to this season. The sex issue of the week structure is way less prominent here, you'll be pleased to know. The biggest culprit of uninspired storytelling in this season comes from all the love triangles and contrived character conflicts. So, in this show, the characters and their relationships with each other are all constructed with the central aim to get the target audience shipping different people. And if you don't know what shipping means, to ship someone, that means that you think they'd make a good couple. I ship John and Judy, I ship Jake Gyllenhaal and Joaquin Phoenix, I ship Pokimane and Alex Jones. All the girls online going on about how this character or that character would make such a great couple. In principle, it's the same kind of thing as Love Island.
I just wanted to fucking say sorry for last night. I thought it was just hang out of order what I did, so...
Why did you do it then?
Pardon?
Why did you do it then?
Pardon?
Sex education is shitbait. If shitbait isn't a term already, it's a good one to coin. It's the perfect word to use for this kind of thing. Online ship culture is fucking huge right now.
Team Otis and Maeve, or do you have a soft spot for Otis and Ruby?
I think you gotta go Otis and Maeve, man. OG.
Oh, really?
Right here.
You wouldn't believe how many Otis and Ruby Instagram edits I saw within the last year after they hooked up at the end of season 2.
Get me the fuck out of here!
The sex education showrunners are well aware of this and do everything in their power to capitalise on it. And why wouldn't they? It's almost like the new internet version of the will they won't they. Speaking of will they won't they, Otis and Maeve. Holy shit. One of the filthiest examples of blueballing the audience I've seen in a while. The first season they're getting to know each other, fair enough. Otis likes Maeve at first, then Maeve grows to like Otis because he's sweet and sensitive. He picked her up from that abortion clinic, remember?
Hi.
And he waited outside for her all that time. What an honourable guy.
You waited?
Of course.
He did what he promised her he would do.
Do you still want me to wait?
She'll still need someone to take her home. You waited?
You actually waited? What's he gonna do? Fucking ditch you at an abortion clinic? Fuck, your standards are low, girls. With season 2, they amp up the will they won't they cock teasing. Otis starts going out with Ola. Maeve is sad and jealous. Maeve meets Steeler's Wheel, who starts to fancy Maeve. Otis gets dumped because the LGBT quota wasn't full, so Ola randomly became lesbian mid-season. First time I've seen the delicate subject matter of a teen coming out as a means of writing your way out of a corner. How respectful, Netflix. Then Otis gets drunk at his party and says nasty things about Maeve and Ola. Then I'm pretty sure he loses virginity to Ruby, the most popular girl in the year. Very nice. Later, Otis apologises to Maeve by sending her a voice message in which he says he loves her. But before she gets a chance to listen to it, Cockblock on Wheels deletes the message from her phone because he wants Maeve all to himself. Naughty, naughty. So yeah, season 2 has a chunky amount of blueballing. The will they won't they cliche is a sham narrative tool. I feel like we let it slide. Oh, but it's what keeps you coming back. Yes, correct. But you should want to keep watching a show based on the quality of the writing or the storytelling. The will they won't they is nothing but a cheap manipulative gimmick. No good writer worth their salt should ever use it.
I messed it up with you.
It's lazy, and to most people with a critical brain, it gets old real fucking fast.
There was this moment last time where I thought maybe you liked me, and I liked you back. And I got scared, so I didn't tell you. And then you met Ola. It's really hard seeing you with her every day.
3 is the most guilty season to date of this trite narrative tactic. Not only is there all that shit between Maeve, Otis, Ruby and Charles Xavier, but all the couples in this show keep pulling drama out their arses to create forced conflict. Everyone's constantly falling out for dumb reasons in this show, and then making up the next episode, but by that point, some other cunt has fallen out with their best friend, or their boyfriend or girlfriend. There's always got to be at least one active feud going on throughout the entire course of the series. And by feud, I don't mean an intricate, tense, well-conceived strife. I mean the most trivial, melodramatic reasons for falling out that it's just irritating to see unfold. Eric and Adam can't go 5 minutes without a "are you ashamed to be with me, is that it?" argument. Every scene they share together, it's the same issue. Adam is embarrassed about being gay. Eric is upset because he's tired of hiding his sexuality. And then they talk, and Eric helps Adam be more open about his homosexuality, and then it's resolved by the end of the episode. But then the next episode, it all starts up again when they move on to another step in their relationship. Like literally the very next step in their relationship.
This isn't what I want.
I don't want to do this. You don't want to have sex? Are you ashamed of me? I'm embarrassed of people at school knowing I'm gay. Enough hiding, let's face this together. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. I'm gay, guys, deal with it. Yay, applause! Next time on Sex Education. Oh, I'm too embarrassed to tell my mum I'm gay. We can't hide forever, Adam. If you really love me, you'll have to face your fears. Oh no, let's not kiss in front of the postman. I'm embarrassed. I'm not ready for him to know I'm gay. It's the same shit for the whole season. I get that coming out doesn't happen overnight, and it probably is repetitive and grueling and mentally tasking, and especially for someone like Adam, it would take time. But that doesn't excuse the shoddy writing. You can find creative ways to depict repetitive character setbacks and people constantly running into the same problems. But here they haven't done that, it's just gimmicky and annoying. And considering how it resolves at the end of the season, and what the message was, it's clear that a more capable writer could have delivered this arc in one episode. Like, here's Adam and Eric's season arc. Episode 1, I'm not ready to tell the world. I know, but I'm done hiding. Episode 2, I'm not ready to tell the world. I know, but I'm done hiding. Episode 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, I'm not ready to tell the world.
I know, but I'm done hiding.
Season finale, episode 8, I'm not ready to tell the world. Well, I can't be with someone like you right now. I need to be free to express myself and grow as a person, and your insecurity isn't good for me. Almost every relationship in the show can be characterized by this on-again, off-again pattern. We are friends. How dare you say that? I hate you. Never mind, I forgive you.
Lame, 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 lame!
Are you saying that therapy is just a cynical money-making practice?
I'm not sure I believe in it. What? Did I make you upset?
You are entitled to your opinion.
It was so boring! Ola and Reddit freaks' reasons for falling out may have been the most feeble excuses for conflict of the whole show.
Sometimes I want to be in the real world when I'm having sex, not a silly fantasy land.
Also, now having sex with me is silly.
Does that amuse you?
No, it's a very good lesson. Only it's easy for you to preach utter devotion to family when you're making all the decisions.
Aliens are definitely real.
When have you ever done something that wasn't in your interest, but solely for the benefit of the family?
The day that you were born.
Can't believe you don't think aliens are real.
I can't believe you do.
And again, it goes back and forth, back and forth. Every argument they have is the exact same as the last, just with slightly different words and triggers. You just don't listen. Sorry, I just love aliens. Oh, sorry, that's okay and completely relevant to our relationship. I didn't mean to impose on your self-expression. To be fair, I'm Team Ola on this one. This bitch is absorbed by her fantasy. She's not there for those around her. But the show points out like Ola's doing something wrong. God, I was like a fucking 14-year-old girl now, but honestly, Ola kind of gets gaslit. You also have the conflict between Otis and his mum. That one's been going on for ages now, since the start of the show. OMG, mum, stay out of it. Stop analysing me. I'm only trying to help. I'm a therapist, and so on and so on and so on for 3 fucking seasons. Everyone keeps saying or doing stupid things, creating love triangles, pissing each other off, cheating on each other. It's laughable how frequently all these things occur and how avoidable they are. Back to the Love Island comparison, it's just shoddily manufactured conflict. I'm going to try and give a brief summary of the plot of Season 3, at the risk of sounding like a 14-year-old girl recounting the latest high school gossip to a friend. Since the big fallout with Otis last season, Maeve has started to grow feelings for Isaac. Even if Maeve wanted to get with Otis, she can't because Otis is now hooking up with Ruby. Ruby doesn't want to be seen in public with Otis because she's too popular. Otis is annoyed. At the end of episode 1, the school finds out that Otis and Ruby are hooking up, so they decide to go public about it anyway. Next episode though, Ruby is still too controlling of Otis, and it's not a relationship quite yet, it's just a casual sex ting. Meanwhile, Maeve kisses Isaac, but then Isaac reveals the phone thing he did last season. Maeve's pissed. Later, Otis expresses his dissatisfaction with Ruby and says he wants to get to know her more. They decide to officially become boyfriend and girlfriend. Maeve and Isaac are not on speaking terms. Episode 3. Jakob and Ola move in with Jean and Otis to try and become a family for the new baby that Jakob and Jean have on the way. Ola and Otis aren't getting along. Ola is finding this difficult and vents her frustration to her girlfriend Reddit girl who's too transfixed on her weird alien shit to properly listen. Ola mad. Jean and Jakob have a mini argument about the baby's name, which leads into another argument about Jakob being too much of a traditionalist or something. Jean mad. Jakob wants to call it Thor if it's a boy. Thor. To be fair, if there are any feminists watching this, you've got to admit that's a badass name.
Thor Neiman.
Meanwhile, Otis still has grievances that Ruby doesn't let him properly get to know her. She's never invited him back to her house to meet her dad. Ruby relents and they go to her house. Otis meets her dad. Because this is the first time Ruby has had a boyfriend who helps look after her dad, she falls in love with Otis. Meanwhile, Big Chungus rapes someone. At the end of episode 3, Ruby says I love you to Otis, but Otis just says that's nice because really he still loves Maeve. Ruby upset. Girl's Instagram posts about heartbreak imminent. Episode 4. Jakob and Jean go to therapy. Jakob doesn't like how they have to keep coming back and paying more money. Jakob doesn't really believe in therapy. Jean mad, because she's a therapist, by the way. Maeve forgives Isaac for his crimes. They smooch. Otis breaks up with Ruby. Next episode, everyone goes on a field trip to France. Ola is annoyed at Reddit girl. This girl's annoyed at this guy she's sexting. Maeve gets mad at Amy. Amy doesn't know how to break up with Otis kisses Maeve. Ruby sees this. Ruby upset. Otis happy that he and Maeve have finally kissed, but Maeve feels guilty because she's cheated on Isaac now. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck me, we're only halfway through the season. I can't summarise anymore. Everyone watching is aware of what's going on here. Endless plot contrivances, endless forced conflicts. It's like an argument per minute story structure. It's so blatant and boring, but you all just give it a pass. Oh, but that's what every show does. You know, they're cheeky little ones. They keep you hooked there. They keep you coming back, don't they? No, you shouldn't let them do that. Netflix don't respect your intelligence when they do shit like this. I mean, to be fair to them, this show is for dumb teenagers, so who can really blame them, but still, give yourself some fucking credit.